A huge win for the Oregon Ducks, 69-3. They get 631 total yards to Oklahoma State's 211 yards, and Dusty Harrah was on the sideline for this one. Dusty, was it as dominant at field level as it was on television?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a butt kicking that I can't remember seeing from any program to another Power Four like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was evident from the first snap all the way through. I mean, when you score 2 touchdowns on your first 3 plays of the game, you know it's going to be a long day. And I think the most surprising thing that we're seeing is the relentlessness from Oregon in the first 2 games of the season of they just never let off the gas.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it as it was happening. The only Power 4, Power 5 matchup I can remember, 2 teams in the Power 5 that was like this bad was that Oklahoma 77-0 over, I believe, Texas A&M, and that was in like 2003 was the last time I can remember a beatdown like this in the Power 4, Power 5 ranks. I mean, it was just, as you said, like never seen anything like it. I mean, that must mean today's result was pretty surprising to you. I mean, obviously they were a big favorite, but I mean, could you have ever predicted that they would win this large and by this much dominance?
By no means did I think that Oklahoma State was going to keep it close. I thought Oregon was going to cover fairly easily, but when you think of like 27.5 or 28.5 is what it opened at, and I think it closed at 27.5. I mean, that felt right. I did not think that Oklahoma State up front would be as overpowered as they were on both lines of scrimmage. I thought that they would hold it a little bit closer, and I thought it would be a better stalemate than Montana State. The reality of it was that it was the same up front as the Montana State game. And from the combo blocks to getting to the next level to picking up protections offensively and then shedding blocks, it was just as easy for Oregon's defensive line as it was just a week ago. That was the surprise to me. The way that the game unfolded after you saw that, yeah, you could see that one coming, but the result of, I mean, nobody thinks it's going to be 69-3. I mean, that's absurd. But the way that Oregon has put teams away and not played with their food like they did a year ago, it's impressive, and it's a full-scale change in the preparation and kind of the focus heading into each game.
Yeah, Dusty, what's the biggest difference with that you've noticed from last year to this year? Kind of, I guess, the vibe from last season to this season. Is it just a step up for Dan Lanning because he's gotten that culture just more instilled in his players now, year 4 with him there? I mean, is it the same hungry guys, or is there something new that they got to inject into the players this year in the offseason? It just seems like we're watching, obviously, the same team, but just a different one, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. I think that's fair to say in that, like, from the talent level, I mean, there's young guys that are playing, whether it's DeCorian Moore or Brandon Finney. I mean, those guys are special. They're young, they're raw, they're good. But I honestly think that the Rose Bowl was kind of that wake-up call to, no matter how good you're playing, no matter what people on the outside think of you, you can still be humbled. And unless you have that precision and laser focus, it doesn't matter if you beat a team before. You know, and I think we saw at the beginning of the year last year, they were heavy favorites against Idaho. They were heavy favorites against Boise State, and those games were really close, and they were far too close for their liking. And I think that kind of hones everything in. It makes you not take anything for granted or any game for granted, or you're watching film and you're saying, we have a significant talent gap in our favor here. And they have just kind of been businesslike in the approach to it. They look fresh, and I think something that's different than anything we've ever seen is just a wave of guys that they're willing to play and willing to play early. They didn't have that luxury last year, and we saw, especially with the offensive line, right? This year, they're mixing and matching, moving guys into the offensive line rotation, but, you know, Poncho is the steady hand at center, and he makes a huge difference to that.
I'm going to read apparently what Dan Lanning, his message to the team was. This comes from Dante Moore as far as what he said to the team before the Ducks victory today. Coach Lanning said, "We're going to keep the foot on the neck and make sure you score as many points and try to break the scoreboard." We heard you with Coach after the game in that you basically asked him, like, was there something a little bit different about this? Like, what was happening this week? And he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, nothing different." Were you buying that at all?
I wish everybody could have seen the smile on his face.
I knew it. I knew it.
Because I think people know the wry smile Dan Lanning has. He just gave me a nope, and he had a ear-to-ear grin on his face. And look, I mean, it did mean more. When people want to make excuses as to why Oregon is successful, that's how you fire up Dan Lanning, because the funding, every program in the country has elite funding that is good, right? And it is what you do with that, right? And look, like Oklahoma State, we're not looking at a poor program by any stretch, right? T-Boone Pickens may be dead, but they still have resources. They have a great stadium. They have a great fan base. They're in a Power 4 conference. And Oregon has got resources, and they're very lucky to have them. But it's what you do with those resources after, right? Texas A&M is a great example of this. They have all the resources in the world, but it comes down to player buy-in, coach development. All of those things really matter. And to narrow it down to just saying Oregon's got money and Phil Knight has deep pockets, that's going to upset anybody within that program. And you saw it. You saw it from Lanning in his response to the Gundy comments, and then you saw it play out on the field today. They did not want to punt. They weren't going to punt. They were forced to punt, but that was when their third string was in there, and that was after the score. They put up 69 on the board.
Dusty, a little bit more of a procedural question. No Mekhi Hughes again in the first quarter. Is there a developing story that we don't know about, or is the Ducks running back room simply too talented and he's just not the most talented back in the room?
I mean, Noah Whittington looks like 2023 Noah Whittington. He looks like the guy that transferred from Western Kentucky and had that burst, had that spark. The knee injury against Colorado in 2023 took him a very long time to recover from. We're starting to see what he looks like again and how explosive. Jaden Lamar that guy will put his nose in and be just as happy to block as he is to run the ball. Not to say that Mekhi Hughes isn't, right? But he's played in the system. He's done it before. It's just hard to get on the field. And when those guys have explosive runs like they did early in the game, what are you going to turn away from the hot hand just because, we have a wealth of backs in that backfield? No, what you're going to do is you're going to continue to give those guys carries. It's not like they had a ton of carries, and then they got Mekhi Hughes in the game to play. I don't think it's anything Mekhi Hughes is doing wrong. I said that last week. I think that it says a lot about what the depth of that room is, and I don't think there's a developing story because those guys get amped for each other when they make plays. I think they have an understanding of what that room has talent-wise, and you just got to wait your turn and make the most of your opportunities when you get them.
Well, Dusty, I don't know what they have to improve, and they are playing another Power 5 opponent, actually their first conference game of the year next week, against a team that quite possibly might be worse than Oklahoma State. So what do the Ducks have to improve after this week? Again, it might be a tough question just because they played damn near a perfect game again, but in your eyes, what would you like to see improve on this team before Northwestern next week?
I mean, offensively, what can they – I don't know. Those coaches have such a hard task ahead of them, which is you beat up on two opponents. Through two games, you have 1,137 total yards of offense, and you're so balanced. Your passing game has 7 more yards than your running game. I don't – what are you going to nitpick? That is a really tough one. And I know that, from the outside, we're sitting there looking at it being like, explosive plays, shots downfield. They took those, and they were efficient with those. They took the underneath stuff, and they executed at a really high level. I think you're going to be very nitpicky, and that's going to be the tough task for the coaches, but scheme is the big one. And like Dan Lanning said after Decorey Moore's block in the first game where he sprung Gary Bryant Jr., those coaches are going to look at it and say, yeah, you blocked the wrong guy, though. And there's going to be a lot of those instances that we didn't see as fans just because they were big plays and they were big gains. But it definitely is nitpicking because they're executing at a really high level.
All right, Dusty. Well, appreciate you, man. You can catch Dusty every Ducks game day in the pregame show. You can catch him on the sideline during Ducks game. Appreciate you jumping on for a little bit. And, yeah, I guess everybody will hear you bright and early next week, huh?
Yeah, I'm not on the local pregame. And thankfully, I did Dirt a solid and told them, we're only doing 1 hour of pregame. You guys get an extended postgame next week because 5 a.m. is far too early to be having our pregame show. So Dirt will be on at 6 from 6 to 7, and then the network pregame will take over at 7 a.m. next week. It's going to be bright and early. It's a big nooner in Evanston, Illinois. I'm excited for it. It's a game on the lake in front of 15,000 people, which is going to be a weird transition from the environment that Austin today has been the first 2 weeks.
Well, thank you for also having the common sense of having no sports Saturday next Saturday at 3 a.m. either. I know Jordan and I really appreciate that.
You got it. You guys can sleep in on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Overlord. We appreciate that.
I appreciate you guys. You guys are killing it, man. It's fun to listen to you guys on the way home.
Hey, always fun listening to and seeing you on TV, big time in us. It's always great. I'm like, hey, I know that guy. I pull that to my girlfriend, and then she hits me with that's nice.
Yeah, you're real cute.
Yeah.
You're not on TV. You're just seeing him in the background. Yeah, like, hey, that's my arm. There it is.
It's a good-looking arm, though, Dusty.
Yeah, sexy arm, buddy.
That's a quality arm.
A lot of curls.
All right, thanks, Dusty. We'll talk to you later, man.
See ya.
That was Dusty Harrah. He is on the sideline for Ducks game day. He is the fan brand manager. He is on Ducks pregame, and he doesn't write the checks, nor does he sign the checks, but he has something to do with payroll around here in some capacities. So, but he's going to have a bright and early morning next week. Everybody will, as the Ducks are going to kick off at 9 a.m. against Northwestern in Chicago. Again, I repeat that, a 9 a.m. local time kickoff next week for the Oregon Ducks against Northwestern.